What's going on, guys? Thank you for tuning in to Hold On Legacy. Today it's your special guest Tarun here to talk to you about my favorite deck right now in the meta. Close second is miraidon. We're going to a Joltik box. With this deck, I currently have 1 cup win, 2 top 8s, and a stream of challenge wins. It feels super consistent. I like the 60. Consistency is king, especially going to this meta where you have a lot of Dragapults and Guardies and Raging Bolts. You need to have as much 4s and 3s as possible. However, a couple techs are still there. Let's start with the Pokemon. Let's start out with 2 Miraidon, as I talked about last time, tandem unit. Search your deck for any up to 2 basic lightning Pokemon, put them onto your bench. It's really good as well to get set up. As long as you have a nest ball or way to search for Miraidon on the first turn, you're in a golden spot. We love it. Photon Blast for 220 in this deck is not the main attack. However, depending on your matchup, it could be. Going to something like a Fez or an Ogerpon, things of that late game, I think Miraidon's just really good. 2 Iron Hands, we know it, we love it, or if you hate it, depending on your thoughts and your deck. Iron Hands amp you very much. 1 Lightning, 3 colorless. Kind of tricky sometimes to get out and play, but depending on your first turn, you're in a good spot with it. Pikachu EX, Resolute Heart. If it's knocked out and has full HP, it survives the attack and it goes down to 10. It's really good against Dragapult to buy yourself a turn. Really good into big decks, so they have to guess around it, or they find a way to mitigate the Resolute Heart. Topaz Bolt for 1 Lightning, 1 Grass, and 1 Metal, does 300. You do have to discard 3 energy from this Pokemon. However, if you have something like an XP share or, you know, just christening for turn, usually buys yourself a spot. Also, just end game, if they have something really big to hit you with, like an Ursaluna or a Goldango, something with a lot of HP, Pikachu's going to be able to help you out. You do run Stadiums of Gravity Mountain, so you can mitigate big stage 2s, like 330s, 320s, 310s, putting that down to a good spot where you can Jolting or Topaz Bolt, really good. Star of the deck and one of the main contributors is Joltik. We love it. It took me to a 5-3 run at NAIC. Really good spot. Lost a couple win ins, but that's all right. Jolting Charge for 1 colorless. Search your deck for 2 basic Grass and Lightning. Attach them to anything in play. Just really good in general. It's not the worst decision in the world late game to Jolting Charge, especially if you know that they can only take a 1 prize turn. Jolting Charge, being able to set up either 3 on a hands and 1 on a Pikachu, or 3 on a hands and 1 on a Miraidon, or in your Bolt matchup case, you like 2 on a hands, 1 on a Pikachu, 1 on a Miraidon. It's just really solid. Being able to touch them to anything you want, even non-lightning Pokemon, is just, I think that's really underrated and underutilized in the meta. Supporting mons, we're going to start with Mew, free retreat, restart, draw until you have 3 in hand. Really good late game Ionos, being able to draw yourself back up to 3, or just putting a free retreater in the active spot. Genome hacking doesn't come up enough in this game or in this deck. However, it does have its uses. Blaze Clefairy, Fairy Zone. The weakness of each of your opponent's dragon is now Psychic. Apply weaknesses ×2. Super good. You remember back in F block, you had Raikou V with the similar Rondo. This one is Full Moon Rondo for 1 colorless, 1 Psychic. Full Moon Rondo 20 base, and it is 20 for each bench yours and your opponent's. Really good into Dragapult because they're usually going to have 3 to 4 benched mons, so you're able to hit for 360 of a full bench. 2 retreat attack, 1 retreat cost. Super good into Bolt as well. Something you can do against Bolt is you can go for like a Jolting Charge and put 1 on a Clefairy, 1 on a Pikachu, or like 2 on a Pikachu, 1 on a Clefairy, 1 on a Miraidon. Therefore, they have to choose between different techs and different Pokemon to go after. Usually, they're gonna make the wrong choice, and then you're gonna be able to punish them with a Clefairy, especially because they're only getting 1 prize card. Latias is really good. Skyliner, each basic Pokemon in play that you have, it has no retreat cost, including itself. Super good in this meta. Having all of your basics, which you have except for 1 in this deck, having a free retreat is really good, especially if you have it early game. Being able to not have a hands or an Ursaluna trapped in the active spots. Speaking of Ursaluna, we'll jump to it real quick. Ursaluna, any attacks used by this cost 1 less for each of your prize cards your opponent's taken. With a 5 initial base, if they've taken 5 prizes, you're able to attack for free. One of the key cards in the Raging Bolt matchup, especially if you put a Bravery Charm on it so it doesn't get burn KO'd. Being able to hit for 240 is really good. It can attack during your next turn. However, if you switch it out to the bench, or if you Prime Catcher, use a switch, Dead Energy, things like that, being able to reset the effect, similar to Miraidon's, really useful against the Bolt matchup, being able to just 1-hit KO a Bolt. Really good as well late game to just put up Ursaluna, attach, or don't even attach for turn, and then just boss up a Fez or a Latias or an EX that's less than 240, being able to win games that way. So many games I've won late game, especially if it's, you know, EX is taking 2 prizes each turn, which is Blood Mooning. Really underutilized as well, being able to attack, as well as Jolting Charge I've done before to the Blood Moon. Just really solid. I highly recommend. Pheasantipity, flip the script. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn, draw 3 cards. Super good, super simple. Cruel Arrow as well, being able to do 101 of your opponent's bench. It does require a 3 cost to attack. However, if you are in situations where you just need a Cruel Arrow to KO the bench, just snipe things. The amount of times I've been Ioned, exactly an example of today, playing against a Zard deck by one of our good friends, knocked out something in the active spot. I had no cards in hand, so being able to Mew for 3 and then Fez for an additional 3, and it got me the Gavantia I needed for game. Highly recommend Fez. Flip the script is crazy important. The amount of games I've won simply by flipping the script and drawing your boss, Prime Catcher, Crispin, the extra energy needed for turn, things like that, recommend. 2 techs against dark types. We are looking at things like Zard, we're looking at Grimmsnarl, we're looking at Enzorark EX. Equivalent things, Iron Leaves will start with first Rapid Vernier. As long as you play it from your hand to the bench, you can move it to the active spot. You can attach up to as many energy from your other Pokemon as you want to it. Really good as a retreat lock option, well to break through, like through a Maractus Corner, through a Sob from a Wellspring Ogerpong, being able to use Rapid Vernier, break that lock, put in the active spot, as well as move energy to it. Prismatch for 180 as well. While I can't attack on the next turn, seems a little redundant right now. However, being able to hit into weakness, so hit for 360 is just really good. Things that you can do as well is you can move 1 grass from one of your bench, move it to, and if you have a Crispin in hand, just Crispin to it. Or if you have 2 things from the bench, doesn't have to be both grass and something else. Being able to do that and then attach the grass return, super good. I've seen a couple decks cut it. I'm not sure why. I think with Zard becoming a lot hotter in the meta, I think having something like an Iron Leaves to just one-shot it, put a Bravery Charm on it so they can't rebound on the next turn by hitting for 240, I think it's just really solid. 100% recommend. And then the last tech for it as well, Gavantula. Compound Eyes. A little bit of a complicated card, however, it's super easy to understand. Attacks used by this Pokemon do 50 more if your active has an ability. Shocking Web for 1 grass, 1 colorless does 50 base, and if there's any lightning attached, do 80 more. So you're hitting for 180 max. Against dark types as well, it's a good single prize attacker to swing for 360. You're hitting those big numbers. 180 as well, KO's Squawkabilly, KO's Mew. I've seen some lists run Brave Bangle that does 30 more to your opponent's EX. Hitting for 210 is really good. Through my personal testing, has not really come up enough to make it enough of an issue. However, Gavantula, as well as just hitting a Pikachu and just breaking that Resolute Heart in the mirror match, and then you have a single prizer in the active spot that they can't really attack because you've already KO'd their Iron Hands. So Gavantula is just really good. A lot of decks will try to, especially Zard, will just KO your Joltik because you know all you have to do is evolve with Gavantula on the next turn. You Raven Energy attach, swing for 360. 15 Pokemon. I wouldn't change really any of them right now. Some techs you could consider is things like Iron Bundle, which you would move one of your opponent's bench to the active. They choose it, however, it breaks like a Tropico's Lock. It's just a really good idea to have. I just like Gavantula a little bit more because while it is a stage 1, being able to be a grass attacker and swing for 180 to swing into a Mew or a Squawk and not leave yourself vulnerable for them taking the game next turn, not even have to use a bossing option, I think it's just important. Next, we're going to talk about the supporter line. You run 12 supporters in this build. All 12 are absolutely useful. Consistency at the most I can afford it to be. We'll start with Arven. We love this guy, being able to search for an item card and a tool card, put them into your hand. Really good for early game. Earthen Vessel will get an energy as well as like an air balloon to retreat, getting a Prime Catcher, getting a Nest Ball, getting an Ultra Ball, Pokegear 3.0, things to search out for late game. Arven is really good at. Having an Arven in your opening hand is just really important, and you're going to be able to get a Nest Ball for the Miraidon. Next, we're going to talk about Crispin. You run a 4 of as well. Get 2 different energy cards, 2 basic energy cards, and you can attach 1 through the Crispin and the 1 for turn. Something a lot of people will do, myself included, is if you already have an idea, like a Pikachu KO or an Iron Hands KO, use the Crispin, just attach both there for your turn and through the Crispin. Really good as well, especially if you have different modifiers to your opponent's HP. Crispin's really good to have. Being able to have 1 Crispin, 1 Arven in your opening hand going second is, I would say, just the absolute premier strategy. Boss's Orders. We know what this card does. We love it. You choose one of your opponent's bench to the active spot. Nothing more really needs to be said. Boss's Orders can win you games. Like, it will either set yourself up for a checkmate position, take out something that your opponent needs on their side, for example, a Pidgeot. If you have Iron Hands running, being able to amp and just take prizes consistently. Some lists run 4. I run run 3, and for one reason, Iono. I've seen a lot of lists run no Iono and 4 boss. I disagree. Hand disruption is absolutely crucial at times, especially decks like Goldango, Guardy, Bolt, decks that don't expect you to run hand disruption. I know it's really simple. Each player shuffles their hand, puts it at the bottom of the deck, and then they drop her the amount of prizes they have, especially something called Bolt or Goldango when they have 1 prize remaining. Iono's really good Iono's also really good just early game as well. For example, against Bolt, if they have owls, like Knocked Owls, being able to just shuffle those and put them at the bottom. Super good, especially if you know if they have checkmate in hand, or if they're trying to set up for later turns, as well as if your hand's a little rough, being able to Iono and get yourself a fresh hand, I think is just important. 12 supporters. You could cut Iono for the 4th boss, but I just disagree with that. I think hand disruption is more important, at least a one of. Super good line of supporters. Let's talk about items, tools, and stadiums. You can see I have a lot of special player stamped cards here. You get them through just playing at your locals. I love me some player stamps. I love the shininess of it. On a further note, we're going to start with 4 Pokegears. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You find a supporter, put it into your hand. Or if you find more than one, you choose a supporter, put it in your hand. Super good for early game as well, especially if you already have a Pokegear for a Crispin. Pokegear can essentially be anything you want it to be, especially when you run numerous lines of Boss, Crispin, Arven, and also just finding that Iono for the late game stretch. The amount of times that it has saved my behind, I couldn't begin to count. Especially if you have a 1 card in hand, which is a Pokegear, and you're able to draw into that Arven to get set up, search into that Crispin so you can attach them both and take a knockout, or even just Pokegearing for boss. Fun fact, what you can do is if your opponent knows what you have in hand, you can Pokegear and fail it, especially if you have a boss in hand. So therefore they believe that you don't have a boss, and then they won't hand disrupt you. And then you just have a boss's orders in your hand. Let's talk about Nest Ball next. Absolutely crucial. Search deck for a basic Pokemon, put it onto your bench. Really good early game, you have Miraidon down. Really good mid game, you can get anything like a Mew, you can get a Pheasantipity, you can get another Pikachu, Clefairy for later game, especially against Dragapult. What you can do is you Nest Ball for the Clefairy and then Crispin to it, boom, you're knocking out their Dragapult. That, and if they don't have anything else set up, it's pretty much checkmate. Nest Ball's really good. 100%. I wouldn't cut it down from 4 just because it is absolutely crucial. 3 Ultra Ball, discard 2 cards from your hand and just search for a Pokemon. Really good for things like Iron Leaves that you have to play it from your hand, so Ultra Ball to search it. Search for Galvantula as well, because you can't search it really any other way. Ultra Ball is really the only true way to search it out. I've seen lists that run a 4th. While I did like it, there's another tech in this list that we will go over, and you just want extra lines of that. Ultra Ball is just super good as well. As long as you have a Nest Ball or an Ultra Ball in your opening hand, you're going to be good to go. With Nest Balls, Ultra Balls gets you to 7, Arven gets you to 11. You have effectively 11, and Miraidon, you have about 13 ways to get your Miraidon out. Wouldn't cut it down from 3. Only reason I would cut it down from 3 would be to fit another tech, like a 4th boss, but 3 Ultra Balls just last of the items. Prime Catcher, Ace Spec of choice. You can only have 1 Ace Spec in your deck. Really good. You switch one of your opponent's bench. It's literally a boss, but you get to switch one of yours as well. It's really good early game, especially if you're stuck in the active spot. Prime Catcher is a way to break out of a retreat lock, or if there's something in the active. Prime Catcher is really good. If you have an AMP very much set up, Prime Catcher up something on their side to get yourself the 2 prizes. Really good late game for a Saluna to get the Prime Catcher. It's just the boss's orders you can get off Arven, which is really good. And you can get like a Charm or an Expedia or something else you need for that turn. Super Rod, shuffle 3 combination of your Pokemon basic energies. A lot of people tell me Super Rod's not good. They ask me, why do you run the Super Rod? Just run like a Night Stretcher, which lets you just put 1 thing into your hand. When you Topaz Bolt and get rid of 3 energy, Super Rod to shuffle the Metal, the Lightning, and the Grass all back into the deck. Against Dragapult as well, being able to Super Rod back in your Clefairy and the Psychic, and like something else you need like an Ursaluna or a Fez or things like that. Really good to have. It shuffles in the deck, but you run 7 Ball Search and you run like 4 Arven, so like you should be fine. And Earthen Vessel, the last one of the items, you can only use it if you discard something else from hand. That's fine. Search your deck for 2 basic energies, put them in your hand. Really good early game as well. Like if you have a Pikachu, if you have 2 Pikachu set up against a Goldango, for example, and you get the Lightning and Grass for both, you can Earthen Vessel on the next turn and get 2 metals set up, and bam, you're in business. Earthen Vessel is especially clutch late game or early game as well. If you have a Joltik in the active and you don't have an energy, you can Arven for Earthen Vessel, an Air Balloon, or just a tool to have. Earthen Vessel, always something, get your energies, live your life. Next, we're going to talk about tools and stadiums. We're going to talk about the tools first. We run 4 of them in the deck. Arvens, therefore, have a purpose all the time. 2 Bravery Charm, your basics get a plus 50 HP, absolutely crucial in every single game. Good against Dragapult as well, particularly so they can't just Phantom Dive and put damage counters everywhere. You can put Bravery Charm on like a Fez, keep it safe, put on your Iron Hands so they can't put 200 on it, and then 30 on something on the bench, and then bring that up, and then you get 4 prizes. Trying to prevent that because you're trying to go 2/2/2 always. Braver Charm is really good. Put it on a miraidon, put it on a hands, especially against Iron Leaves as well against Zard. When you're Rapid Vernier and you take 2 prizes, you're at 240. If they have a retaliation, Charm prevents that. Wouldn't go down from 2. It's just extremely great to have in every single matchup. Air Balloon is really good. The retreat cost of your Pokemon this card says 2 less. Previously, in other renditions of decks, you ran things like Rescue Board. Being able to have a 2 less is really good, especially if you have like Ursaluna stuck in the active spot as a 3 retreat cost. Touch Air Balloon, and then you could like Crisp and do Ursaluna Joltik on the bench, and then you can get set up. Air Balloon is really good. It has made its comeback from earlier eras. Last but not least, XP Share, probably the spiciest card of the 60. If your opponent's active is knocked out, or if your active is knocked out by an attack or from damage anyway, you can move an energy card from that to the card to the Pokemon this XP Share is attached to. I don't know what I would do without this card in the deck. It has been super useful in the majority of games. You can attach it to your Pikachu, and if they take out something like take out a Joltik or an Iron Hands, move that energy attached to the Pikachu, and then you can either Chrisman to get the other 2, or if you have any energy attached, you can XP Share and get it set. If your opponent, if you're playing against Raging Bolt, you can put down Ursaluna, XP Share attached to, whatever they knock out, you already have the energy. You can donate your other resources in the deck, other energy resources, to other things, like a Clefairy, you can get to a Pikachu, a Miraidon, Galvantula if you need it to, Iron Leaves, whatever you want. So XP Share is really good. Tool Scrapper is in the meta right now, which makes it a little concerning, but the only decks that are realistically running Tool Scrapper is like a Zard. So as long as you know you're not hitting into that, you should be fine. I won one of my games tonight solely because of XP Share. I had a Clefairy on the bench, XP Share attached. By them not being able to take away the XP Share, they knocked out, I believe it was my Pikachu or my Miraidon. Move it to their Clefairy, and you just hit the one straight up. Really good, would recommend. Here, let's clear these out so we can talk about stadiums, which is the last non-energy part of this deck. Stadiums, you can only play 1 per turn, but it is if you do have like a stadium in a Pokemon match. 2 Gravity Mountains, really clutch. Each stage 2 in play is minus 30 HP. Exceptionally good against a lot of setup decks. You have Gardevoir, you have Grimmsnarl, you have Zard, you have Dragapult, even rogue things like Ethan's Typhlosion and Mamoswine, things like that Gravity Mountain is clutch for. I run a 2 of. The issue with the deck, and the only big issue is you have no way to search for the stadiums. So being able to have a 2 of in the deck essentially makes it a 1 in 30 chance of drawing it naturally. Some of my favorite plays to do is you put down a Gravity Mountain, Dragapult goes down to 290, I believe, and then you're able to just Topaz Bolt and get rid of it. Or against Zard, if you can't find your leaves or your spiders, being able to put down Gravity Mountain, take away their stadium, put down Pikachu, Topaz Bolt, you're fine. Rogue situation against Team Rocket's Porygon Z. They are a 140. Oh, it also works against stage 2s that have like a 140 HP or a 160. Being able to put in range to amp or just take a knockout is just really good. Last but not least, let's talk about energies. What makes the deck grow round? You run 13 energies in this build. Through all of my testing, I won a cup with 13 energies. NAIC I ran 14. However, I'll tell you why I switched one out. Let's start with the lightning. Lightning, this is a lightning deck, therefore lightning attackers need all of this fancy, fun energy right here. 5 of them is really good. It's really good to calculate for math as well, for Crispin's Earthen Vessel plays, things like that. On a good day, you'll have maybe 1 lightning prized in total, but using Joltik being able to get 2 set up on anything is just really good. Then you have 3 in the deck. In theory, if you have 1 attached to your Joltik for the turn, you have 2 left in the deck. You can Crispin for those, things like that. You run 5 grass energy as well. We love the grass energies. I've tried going down to 4 before. 4 just didn't feel as consistent because in the event you have a couple prized, you're going to need those 2. You're going to need at least 1 for your Topaz Bolt. So having 5 in the deck is absolutely crucial. Helps with the consistency of the deck, being able to Topaz Bolt, being able to use it for Iron Leaves as well, for Galvantula. There's more use for 5 than 4, and being able to get 2 off of the Joltik is just really fun. Last but not least, 2 Metal, 1 Psychic. Topaz Bolt is really good. Boom, you have your 2 Metal. Psychic is good for Clefairy. The reason you have 2 Metal and only 1 Psychic is because you have more Pikachus than Clefairies. Clefairy is only necessarily good for 1 match. It can be good for 2 matches. The other one that is absolutely good for is things like EV Box, where they have a full bench. They have particularly 8. If they are sloppy enough, they're going to put down 8 on their bench. and then you're fine. You just have your 5 on your side, or if you fill up your bench as well, swing for 280 into a Flareon, swing into a big evolution. Really good with Clefairy, really good into Dragapult, and also if you just need an energy to burn through the Joltik, the Psychic is the way to go. You do run Rod, you do run Christmas, you have ways to accelerate it. So 13 energies in total. Through my testing, I actually took away the second Psychic for the second Gravity Mountain. I felt having the energies in the deck, you already run enough energies in the deck, you need to see that second Gravity Mountain. So I think just all in all, the deck is super consistent. Main takeaways of the deck, I love how it functions. The only issue with the deck is you do have to go seconds. If you go first, it's not the worst thing in the world, especially if you have a good start. Like, as long as you have a Miraidon on your opening hand, I think you're in a good spot. Don't put down Latias or things like that unless you absolutely have to, particularly in the mirror match. All in all, the deck is really good. It's super consistent. I have more positive notes than negative ones. As well, in my local scene, people see me walking with a Joltik box and it feels pretty good, because you know there's a good chance you can win against a lot of these setup decks. The meta is very setup-ish. You have like Guardies, Dragapults, Zards, things like that require rare candies, require more than one turn to set up as opposed to like a Raging Bolt or a Joltik. So being able to take advantage of a setup deck and being able to just, before they take 2 prizes, being able to take 4, and then you can use like Ursaluna at the late game. Stuff you can do also is you can soften up something like a Zard. They take their 4th prize, and then boom, just Ursaluna KO. All you need is that energy. Things like that is how propels me to success a little bit with the deck. I'm not a great player by any means, but I do know how to play this deck, and I especially love the fluidity. There is a little sequencing or knowing how to use your energies, but as a whole, I think it's relatively solid. Definitely a 9.5 out of 10. I think in the meta as well going into Worlds, I think you're going to have more setup decks take precedence. I think Dragapult and Guardia are still going to remain 2 of the most played decks, so being able to take advantage of it, as well as having 4 bossing options in deck, I think it's just really solid, and before they know it, you're going to take away with the game and sign that match slip. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to Hole in Legacy. Thank you for listening to me to ramble on about my favorite deck in the meta right now. The most playable deck in the meta for my taste is Miraidon Joltik 60. Definitely gonna do a lot more testing with the deck against a lot of unknown variables like Dusknorless, things like that, and then a lot of rogue decks I think you're gonna need a little testing with, but as a whole, I mean, your matchups against the top 3 or 4 meta decks, it's relatively simple. Use Iron Hands or Pikachu, finish out the game with an Ursaluna. Worst case scenario, use Iron Leaves and Galvantula. That's only really in 2 specific matchups, but I mean, that still wins you the game. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. This is Tarun signing off. Have a good night, guys. Cheers.